Hey folks, in this episode, we're going to run through your Amazon advertising profit killers. These are things that come up in nearly every audit that we do, and we can officially say these will be the things that will most likely waste your money on advertising. So in this episode, we're going to show you how to check them very quickly, and we're going to hopefully turn your fortunes around. And best of all, less than 10 minutes is all it's going to take.
Yeah, we don't waste your time on our podcast. We get straight to it.
Here for a good time.
Yeah, not for a long time. Hey team, if you're struggling with profitability on your Amazon ads, then this next 10 minutes on the podcast is for you. So what we're going to focus on is how you structure your advertising for growth. This is an exercise you can do in about 10 minutes, and it's worth every minute that you spend on it. I promise you, it makes a massive difference, and you'll make a fortune or save a fortune in the wasted ad spend that you save. So what I'd like you to do is, as soon as you get a chance, jump into your Amazon advertising and sort your campaigns by the ones you're spending the most money on. Normally this means you go to spend, click it to source, and sort again, and then make your way down this list in order of the ones where you're spending the most money, because simply put, that's where you're going to save the most money. Where we want to start is jumping into your first campaign and have a look at the ad groups that sit in there. Now, when you look at each of those ad groups and you click into them, it'll tell you how many keywords you're targeting. If you're targeting more than 12 keywords, chances are you're probably losing some visibility. Simple fact is that Amazon can only really focus on between 1 and 12 keywords in any ad group. After that, they just don't get the visibility. So anything that deserves to be in an ad group as a keyword, that really deserves to be in an ad group of its own or with a group of similar terms. Otherwise, move it out and put it into its own ad group. And this brings on to the next thing. Budgets are set at campaign level, right? So it's perfectly okay to have a budget on a campaign that has an ad group with only one keyword in it. If that keyword's really important to you, you need to make sure that it's got plenty of budget or oxygen available to it. If you stick it into an ad group with loads of other keywords, they start sucking up the oxygen as well. And that keyword just doesn't get the visibility that it needs. So really important from a budget perspective that we set that at campaign level and give every keyword that needs its visibility as much visibility as it can get. Ali, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think those are really good points, Zamir. And one issue that we often see when we take over campaigns for people is there's an over-reliance on auto campaigns versus broad search and broad search campaigns. We should kind of run through some of those and how that can help save some money for people.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, ultimately, auto campaigns, more so than broad search, are great research tools, right? But they really shouldn't be doing any of the heavy lifting. Auto campaigns shouldn't be spending more than 10% of your overall budget. And broad campaigns, in my opinion, are dangerous and should only be used for very specific purposes. It's a great way to just give Amazon your wallet and say, hey, go spend.
That's exactly what I'm going to give Jeff.
Yeah, then he'll take you on a mission to Mars. Oh, he won't take you. He'll just take himself. Look, as an exercise, what I recommend you do is go into, so if you see one of those campaigns and it's an auto or it's abroad, go into it, look at the ad group, click on the ad groups that are in there, ignore targeting. What you want to look at is the search terms, and it'll be on the left-hand side. Click on that menu heading, search terms, and take a look at search terms. And what you want to do again is sort by how much you're spending. So you're either going to sort on spend or clicks, and that's going to show you where you're spending your money. And now ask yourself these questions. Go down, look at that list of keywords. Are they relevant? And if they're not relevant, why are you spending money on these terms? And if it includes your brand name, then why aren't you targeting those keywords in a manual campaign targeting your brand? And equally, if it's a highly relevant search term, again, why aren't you targeting that in a manual keyword campaign? Ultimately, if you're also targeting these in manual campaigns, so you are targeting these keywords in other campaigns, why haven't you negated this search term in your auto campaign so you're not competing with yourself for it? Now, manual exact match campaigns are always going to be the most cost effective campaigns you can set up as long as they're controlled correctly. So that's really where you want your brand search terms to be, and it's where you want your high volume search terms to be. Your auto campaign really should be looking at terms that are kind of superfluous to your core keywords that you want to be found under. And that's why they should only be spending about 10% of your overall budget.
And then, so you can touch on this as well. You mentioned kind of the brand stuff. What about brand search terms? How should people structure this so that it works best for them?
I think it's a really important point. You want to take those brand search terms and put them into their own campaign and then separate them into different ad groups depending on the products you're targeting. Ultimately, you want to always make sure you've negated brand search terms from auto and phrase match campaigns. Because two things. First of all, brand campaigns, in my opinion, you always want to target aggressively. So you want to give them their own budget. Make sure that you're appearing under your brand search terms so that it's not cheap for competitors to target your brand. And secondly, if you allow your brand search term, and this happens, right? We see it over time. Brand search terms can creep into those phrase match campaigns that we set up. If you do, what it generally does is it pollutes those results and it overstates their impact and how they're actually working, how well they're working. Because brand search terms have got great returns, or they should do. They should be having really high click-through rates and conversion rates. And so you want those sitting in the brand campaigns. And so otherwise you're overstating your generic search term campaigns results.
Okay, so I appreciate there's been a lot of information just going to come through in here. So hopefully you've been following through on your own ads campaign as well, and just looking at your own campaigns while you're doing this. But just to summarize, here's the key takeaways that will save you a lot of money in your ad campaigns.
Right. When you're looking at your campaigns, always sort by how much you're spending. The most at the top, spend more of your time there because that's where you're going to save more and have a bigger impact. Always make sure that you don't have more than 10 to 12 keywords per ad group. Remember, it's absolutely fine to have single keyword campaigns, only targeting one keyword, and make sure that your auto campaigns are not spending more than roughly 10% of your overall ad budget. Finally, final takeaway, make sure those brand search terms are segregated out into their own campaigns so that they're not overstating the results on those keywords that are more generic.
Yeah, perfect. And in doing this, we've kind of given away a lot of the secret sauce, but they're actually very basic bits of philosophy around ad structure that people often miss. And by missing them, it costs them a lot of money. And so hopefully this has been useful for people so they can make their ad campaigns way more profitable than they normally are. All right, less than 10 minutes. Zamir, was that good for you?
Yeah, that was quick. I'm out of breath.
Hey folks, if you've enjoyed this episode, which I hope you have, we're going to be here every Wednesday with a new bit of information that will be bite-sized, short and sweet, and will hopefully get straight to the point and help you boost your sales, make more money, and really kill it online.